In the year 3082, hundreds of years after thermonuclear war ravaged the Earth, humans have proved to be less resilient than we had hoped. Installations, city-like structures with dynamically readjusting layouts, emerged as a way to transport the remaining population to new homes somewhere in the galaxy. It's a roll of the dice, they thought. One of them's bound to make it. But as hope for a new home was lost, the old rules of government failed to hold back the restless masses, and one by one, the installations began to fail. In one, 5 distinct factions emerged, each seeking its own form of power within this installation. This is the story of a city lost in space and engulfed in chaos. This is the story of Installation 42. Welcome to the first look at our game, Installation 42. It's a PvP-based deck-building game meant for 2 to 5 players. The game begins as you see it on the screen, with a central grid of cards along with a character sheet and individual draw pile for each player. Like other deck-building games, players of Installation 42 will have to acquire new cards and abilities by purchasing them from a centralized location. The catch, however, is that each player only has access to their faction's zone of influence within this grid of cards. The grid is initially set up with faction-specific cards in each row. Therefore, if you were the Hacker faction, for instance, represented by cards outlined in purple, your zone would include the top row and the first column. The Soldier faction, with green color, could access cards in the second row and second column. The Engineers in yellow, the third row and column, and so on. This means that every player begins with access to each of their own faction's cards, along with one card from every other faction. Every player starts with 10 cards in their deck, 5 of which are faction-independent and include basic functions. The other 5 are faction-specific and typically have advanced abilities or a higher value. Each player has a play space in front of them with a character sheet showing numbers 1 to 30 representing health points. Every player starts at 20 health, and they are eliminated from the game when that value drops to 0. On the right side is a draw pile from which players draw their 5-card hands, and on the left is the face-up discard pile to which those cards are played. Above the character sheet are 2 armor slots currently filled with armor cards. The dice on those cards are placeholder tokens, each representing 1 point of armor. If this player were currently attacked, their 3 armor points would be depleted prior to their health. Every card has 2 abilities that players must choose between when using them. There are 4 major types of ability: offense for attacking other players, defense for setting up armor, healing, or responding directly to an attack, utilities including abilities to steal cards from other players or chain multiple attacks together, and the last type are grid-changing abilities. These allow players to move cards within the grid. This can be beneficial not only for purchasing cards outside of your zone, but also to strategically deny other players certain opportunities. The player may instead choose to use cards to purchase others from the grid. Each card has a cost in yellow, as well as an economy value in green, which may be combined between cards to meet the cost of one desired from the grid. When a card is purchased, it goes in the discard pile, along with the cards used to buy it. Just remember that factions are limited to buying cards from their specific row and column. There are 2 other mechanics which help players to develop their own personal strategies. The first is the black market deck. Located outside the grid, these cards carry a higher cost but are considered implants, whose stat-boosting properties remain active on a player until it is removed. When one of these cards is purchased, all 3 are replaced, keeping the options fresh as players evolve their strategies. Second is the puzzle and pacing mechanic. These cards serve 2 purposes. One is to allow players to strategically align their faction cards within the grid to receive bonuses or cause their opponents to suffer negative effects. The other purpose is to shut down grid locations at regular intervals, removing the cards from play and causing any player with an empty grid location in their row to sustain damage at the end of their turn. The rate at which these cards are removed increases as players are eliminated in order to encourage the game's conclusion. Now that we've talked about the mechanics, it's time you should know what happens on a player's turn. Since each player begins their turn with 5 cards in their hand, they're already limited in the number of actions that they may complete. The order of turn phases is defense, offense, and buying. However, players may use a grid or utility card at any point during their turn. During the defense phase, players may use armor and health abilities. In the offense phase, players may elect to attack their opponents. This attack could be chained with others or amplified using a utility card, but only one attack may be launched on a turn. Last is the buying phase, during which players may use the economy value of their remaining cards to purchase new ones from the grid. As each phase uses up cards, players must be strategic in their planning and constantly be aware of their highest priorities. Meanwhile, other players should be mindful of their opponent's health, as well as the changing grid and puzzle mechanic cards, in a search for ways to use their new hand effectively. Also, when a player receives an incoming attack, they may have options to deflect, negate, or counter that attack by using cards within their hand. For this reason, Installation 42 keeps players on their toes, as you never know when you might be pulled into the fray. Thank you for your interest in our game. This video undoubtedly throws a lot at you all at once, but we're excited to get people playing, so we'll be posting a printable copy of Installation 42 along with all of the necessary instructions, and would love to hear your feedback. For more information about the game and how to get your copy, please check out our website and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for updates.